Alright, let's dive into the world of Tier 1 military units, where the stakes are sky high and every second counts. These elite squads are the real-life Avengers, tackling missions so intense and classified, even James Bond would raise an eyebrow. But hey, even superheroes need a medic, right? That's where the Joint Medical Augmentation Unit, or JMAU, steps in. Think of them as the medical ninjas of the special ops world. Now, you might be wondering, why do these top-tier units need a specialized medical team? Well, let me paint you a picture. Imagine being deep in enemy territory, where danger lurks around every corner. You're not just facing bullets and bombs, you're up against the clock too. One wrong move and it's game over. In these high-stakes scenarios, you can't afford to wait for medical help. You need it right there, on the spot, ready to jump into action like a SWAT team in an ER. Enter JMAU, the unsung heroes of the special ops community. These guys and gals are not your average medics. They're a cocktail of top-notch doctors, surgeons, and physician assistants, all seasoned with years of medical and special ops experience. They're the ones who swoop in, scalpel in hand, to perform life-saving surgeries in the middle of a battlefield. Yeah, you heard that right, battlefield surgeries. It's like an episode of Grey's Anatomy, but with way more adrenaline and a lot less drama. So, what's the secret sauce that makes JMAU so exceptional? First off, they're part of JSOC, the Joint Special Operations Command, which is like the VIP club of the US military. That means they're working hand in hand with the creme de la creme of special ops units. They're trained to operate under extreme conditions, from scorching deserts to icy tundras, and they've got the cutting-edge medical tech to back them up. We're talking about equipment so advanced, it would make Tony Stark jealous. Now, you might be asking, how does JMAU actually take care of these Tier 1 operators? Well, they're not just patching up wounds and handing out aspirin. They're conducting complex medical procedures, often under fire, to ensure that our elite warriors are back in action ASAP. And let's not forget, they're doing all of this while keeping a low profile. The less you hear about them, the better they're doing their job. It's like Fight Club, but for medics. The first rule of JMAU is you don't talk about JMAU. The Joint Medical Augmentation Unit is the backbone that keeps our Tier 1 units upright and kicking. They're the medical mavericks who defy the odds, save lives, and do it all under the radar. It's high time these unsung heroes get the spotlight they deserve, don't you think? So we've established that JMAU is the medical SWAT team for the US military's elite. But what sets them apart from other medical units? Well, for starters, their training is next-level intense. Imagine going through medical school, but your final exam is in a war zone. Yeah, it's that hardcore. These folks are trained to handle everything from gunshot wounds to chemical attacks, and they do it all while dodging bullets and navigating hostile terrain. It's like playing a game of Operation, but the stakes are real lives, and the buzzer is an incoming mortar round. Now, let's talk gear. JMAU is equipped with the kind of medical tech that would make any hospital green with envy. We're talking portable X-ray machines, advanced surgical tools, and even telemedicine capabilities. Imagine being in the middle of nowhere, and a specialist from the States guides your hands during a critical procedure. It's like having a medical guardian angel, but one that comes with a satellite link. And let's not forget about their transport. These medics are often helicoptered into hot zones, sometimes rappelling down ropes to reach their patients. They're also trained to operate in all kinds of environments, from the ocean depths to high altitudes. So whether you're a Navy SEAL diving in the Arctic or an Army Ranger trekking through the desert, JMAU has got your back. But what really makes JMAU the medical marvels they are, it's their adaptability. These professionals are trained to think on their feet and improvise. If they don't have the exact tool they need, they'll MacGyver something that works. Need to perform an emergency tracheotomy in the field? No problem, they've got a pen and they know how to use it. It's this kind of quick thinking and resourcefulness that makes them invaluable in life or death situations. Now, you might be wondering, why haven't I heard of JMAU before? Well, that's by design. The less you know, the safer they are, and the better they can do their job. These are the people who operate in the shadows to ensure that our heroes come home. They're the silent partners in every successful mission, the ones who make sure that the good guys live to fight another day. So the next time you hear about a daring special ops mission that seemed impossible, remember that behind those brave faces are another set of heroes. The Joint Medical Augmentation Unit is the safety net that allows our Tier 1 units to walk the tightrope of danger, day in and day out. They're the ones who turn near tragedies into triumphs, and they do it all without expecting any of the glory. JMAU is not just a medical unit, they're a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. They're the ones who make sure that when the dust settles, our heroes are still standing. So here's to the medics of JMAU, the unsung heroes who deserve a standing ovation. So, we've talked about how JMAU is the medical dream team for JSOC's elite units. But what you might not know is how they pull off their medical miracles in the most unconventional settings. Picture this. A civilian surgical team operates in a sterile, well-lit hospital room with all the bells and whistles. Now, take that image and throw it out the window, because JMAU operates in conditions that would make even the most seasoned surgeon break into a cold sweat. You see, JMAU doesn't have the luxury of a level 1 trauma center that they can just wheel into a war zone. Nah, they bring the operating room to the battlefield. We're talking about a mobile OR that can be assembled and disassembled faster than you can say scalpel, please. This isn't just a tent with a table. It's a fully functional surgical suite that they can set up in the middle of nowhere. And let's be real, nowhere is often where these Tier 1 units find themselves. But here's the kicker. They can't just set up shop anywhere. They have to be discreet. I mean, you can't exactly hang a neon sign saying surgery here in the middle of a covered operation. So JMAU often finds itself setting up in obscure locations that aren't exactly prime real estate for medical procedures. We're talking about places like abandoned buildings, dense forests, or even caves. But for JMAU, this is just another day at the office. They're trained to adapt and excel in these challenging environments. Time is of the essence in combat, and JMAU knows this all too well. Let's say a Delta Force operator gets injured during a mission. There's no dialing 911 and waiting for an ambulance. The team's special operations medic would stabilize the injured operator until they can get to JMAU's forward operating ward. Yeah, you heard that right. A forward operating ward set up by JMAU, ready to take over and perform whatever life-saving procedures are needed. Now, let's get into some nitty-gritty details. How does JMAU actually treat casualties in these high-stakes situations? Well, they've got a variety of creative methods up their sleeves. For instance, they might use telemedicine to consult with specialists back home, guiding them through complex procedures in real time. Or they might use portable ultrasound machines to quickly diagnose internal injuries. The point is, they're not just relying on traditional methods. They're leveraging technology and innovation to save lives in the most challenging conditions. And let's not forget, all of this is happening while maintaining a low profile. The last thing they want is to become a target themselves. So they use camouflage, employ counter-surveillance techniques, and even use drones for aerial reconnaissance to ensure they're not drawing unwanted attention. It's like playing a high-stakes game of hide and seek, but with life or death consequences. So, to sum it up, JMAU is the epitome of doing more with less. They're the MacGyvers of the medical world, turning any location into a life-saving station, all while dodging enemy fire and the clock. They're the ones who make sure that when our heroes go into the lion's den, they come back out, ready to roar another day. And hey, speaking of protecting yourself, let's give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Aura. Just like JMAU protects our elite forces, Aura protects your online privacy. But more on that later. So, you might be thinking, okay, JMAU is the medical SWAT team for elite units, but what's their specialty? Well, let me tell you, their bread and butter isn't just slapping on band-aids or administering IV fluids. Nah, these folks are the masters of life-saving surgeries, medical recovery, and what's known as prolonged field care. That's the kind of care that keeps you going when you're days away from a proper medical facility. But hold on, their expertise doesn't stop at just keeping our good guys ticking. Let's say a high-value target gets injured during a raid. You can bet that JMAU will swoop in and use their medical wizardry to keep that person alive for intel gathering. It's like they're the ultimate utility players on a baseball team, ready to step into any role at a moment's notice. Now, you might be wondering, how do these medical pros fit into the special ops world? Well, many of JMAU's personnel are former special operations members themselves. That means they're not just book smart, they're street smart too. They know how to handle themselves in high-stress, high-risk environments. And for those who didn't have prior special ops experience, they go through rigorous training to get them up to speed. We're talking free-fall training, marksmanship, you name it. This is what sets JMAU apart from your average military medical unit. Most military doctors and nurses don't get this kind of high-octane training. Their main gig is to save lives, not to be a part of the action. But JMAU, they're right there in the thick of it, side by side with Tier 1 operators. And because the missions they support are so critical, they've got to be ready to fight or defend themselves if the situation calls for it. Now, let's talk qualifications. You can't just waltz into JMAU with a medical degree and expect to be welcomed with open arms. Nope, they're looking for the cream of the crop. Even seasoned doctors and nurses with years of experience have been turned down. JMAU typically seeks individuals who have years of special ops experience, either before or after joining the medical profession. Once you're in, as long as you're doing your job well, you can generally stay as long as you please. And trust me, you'll want to stay. The training and experience you'll gain are unparalleled. You'll be working in state-of-the-art medical facilities, constantly refining your skills. So, there you have it. JMAU isn't just a medical unit. They're a highly specialized force that blends medical expertise with special ops capabilities. They're the ones who ensure that our elite forces can go into the most dangerous situations imaginable and come out the other side, ready to do it all over again. Whether it's performing life-saving surgeries in makeshift operating rooms or keeping high-value targets alive for intel, JMAU is the backbone that allows our Tier 1 units to operate at their best.